Deciding the future of the James Whalen tug, City Council will weigh the options next week. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Scuttled, scrapped, or ashore, those are the three possibilities that City administration explored regarding the future of the James Whalen tug. The historic vessel has been kept ashore since being lifted from the bottom of the Kaministiquia River 2 years ago. Justin Hardy has been following the story since it first sank. He joins us in studio. Justin, what are the options that the city is now exploring?
Well, Ryan, there are a few directions the city can choose to go. Administration is bringing three options to City Council on Monday: resink the ship, find a place for it on land, or recycle it piece by piece. None of the options include trying to float the boat again because the cost and amount of effort just didn't make sense. The historic James Whalen tug sunk where it was housed at the Kaministiquia River Heritage Park in May of 2022. It was raised from the water that fall, but not without taking a second dunk after a cable snapped near the front of the boat. Once righted, the boat was tugged upriver to the Patterson dock, where it has sat since. Administration has been looking into options for the next steps for the historic vessel and will be bringing that report to council on Monday. Corey Halverson, manager of Parks and Open Spaces, says that they understand it's an important asset to the community.
We've done everything we can to sort of preserve its integrity throughout this process. And yeah, we're just, we would like to bring forward an option that's acceptable to council, acceptable to the community, so that we can sort of move forward and continue to preserve a component of the heritage side of the asset.
The three options being brought before council are to keep the ship ashore in a new location, to scuttle the boat as an underwater attraction, or to disassemble it where it sits and recycle most of it while preserving the more historically valuable pieces. Halverson says that due to the cost and amount of effort involved in moving the boat to another location, they are recommending the option to recycle the James Whalen. Halverson adds that there was no viable option to refloat the boat long term.
No, that was one of the recommendations. We did have it evaluated for structural integrity and for its ability to sort of be put back into the water, and really it's only feasible to put it back into the water temporarily. Doing another floating display was not an option that we considered because of those recommendations.
The full report will be released Wednesday and debated by council at Monday night's meeting. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
Well, big changes could be coming when it comes to the city's democratic process. The committee studying the makeup of City Council offered a first look today at two options that are dramatically different from the current system. The committee is looking at either reducing the number of city wards to 4 or getting rid of them altogether. Lee Noonan has the story.
The city will soon be looking for public input on two options for the makeup of City Council. Both are a major departure from the status quo of 7 ward councillors and 5 at-large councillors. One option would do away with wards entirely, going to an all-at-large system. The other option, recommended by administration, would radically redraw ward boundaries, reducing the number of wards in the city to 4, each stretching from the waterfront in the east to the rural areas in the west, and each with relatively similar populations, between roughly 24,000 to 33,000.
That's a significant improvement in the sense of comparators to what we have now, where we have wards between 7,000 and 8,000 to wards between 23,000 and 25,000.
Each of the new wards would be represented by 2 councillors. The 2 candidates with the most votes in each ward would win the seats. 8 ward councillors would be joined by an additional 2 at-large councillors for a total of 10, preserving the hybrid system, but with 2 fewer councillors than the current 12.
So where there may be a desire to close a facility, you'd only potentially have the voice of one ward councillor saying, yes, I think that's a good idea, or no, I don't. Potentially now you have both of those voices.
The Council Composition Committee had less than 2 hours to consider the proposal, hearing the suggestions of 4 wards and 2 councillors per ward for the first time during the meeting.
I can totally see why it's being recommended, and I think there's some good reasons. Maybe we'll love it. But yes, I'm frustrated that I wanted to dig in more and have more of a chance to feel like I could own this as something I'm putting forward and not get to know it as something being recommended to me.
The committee members praised the work that went into the proposal and did vote to move it forward as is. However, there's still room for it to change. One committee member, Riley Burton, advocated to keep the door open to moving to an all-wards system if the public support is there. When a survey goes, When a public survey goes out, it should include a question on the necessity of keeping the two at-large systems in the four-ward scenario.
And I think it's incumbent upon committee members to engage in debate about the merits of that proposal. So we certainly did that.
That debate is also what resulted in keeping the all-at-large option under consideration. That option would also mean reducing the number of councillors to 10. At their October meeting, the committee should be approving the survey, and then public consultations will begin on the two options. Lee Noonan, TBT News.
One of the stoplights at Arthur and May Street was knocked down by a vehicle today. The commercial vehicle was towing a utility pole down May Street when the trailer caught on the stoplight as the truck turned right onto Arthur Street, knocking the light to the ground and overturning the trailer. The vehicle then dragged the upside-down trailer off of Arthur. Police arrived and blocked off access to the corner until the stoplight was removed off the road. No injuries have been reported and a temporary light has been installed. Well, a separate collision on the city's south side today saw a vehicle bust through a storefront. It happened at NWO Vape on Euclid Avenue just off of Arthur Street. The business sustained serious damage, but the owner says there were no injuries to the driver, staff, or customers. There are few details available at this time. Thunder Bay Police attended the scene, but it's still unclear if charges will be laid. Premier Doug Ford is calling on Ottawa to tighten up the criminal code and do more to prevent offenders from being released. Ford says he wants to see jail, not bail, for criminals. CTV's Siobhan Morris has the details.
Well, the Premier took time to really express frustration again with this pattern we've heard of from both politicians and police officers, where we have somebody arrested for a violent crime, be it a carjacking or a home invasion, to get car keys. They are arrested, they have a date before a judge, they get bail, and then are released and commit another crime. The Premier says it is time for the federal government to tighten up the criminal code. Here's more of what he had to say.
You know, you try to do this down in the States, two things are going to happen. You're getting caught and you're going to jail for years, or the homeowner is going to shoot you, one of the two. And I'd rather keep guns out of communities, and I'd rather really support our police that we're putting a lot more money into guns and gangs across the region, and just supporting our police. But the judges and the JPs have to keep them in jail, and the federal government has to change the criminal code.
The Premier has asked his Attorney General to get some granular detail about how often that's happening, where somebody is charged with something, gets a date before a judge, and is released and commits again. At the federal level, we have seen before other governments try to implement mandatory minimum sentences for things like gun crime. Those were ultimately struck down by the Supreme Court as unconstitutional.
Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Martin Falls and Webequie First Nations are seeking further public input on the Northern Road Link project with a series of open houses. The project would ultimately connect the Ring of Fire to the provincial highway system. Indigenous communities and the general public are invited to learn about the project's status and its environmental impact. An important item being brought up in this month's open houses is the Corridor Alternatives Assessment. That'll help decide which road route would be the best. Project manager Angela Brooks says they've narrowed it down to 12 possibilities.
We want to hear from communities what their concerns are, what their preferred option may be and why, and that'll help feed the information into the assessment.
Well, there's different streams of activities when it comes to these major undertakings. These aren't simple, and they're not inexpensive as well. A lot of helicopter. The further you go north, especially the far north, the higher the costs, and then the seasonality also affects the timing of things.
An Indigenous community open house is happening this evening until 8 at the Superior Inn on Arthur Street. Open houses for the general public will be held tomorrow as well, before others in Geraldton and Timmins over the next week. Campers at Marx Lake witnessed the power of Mother Nature firsthand this weekend as high winds flipped a boat lift and dock. A video posted to Facebook shows the major wind event forming over the middle of the lake. It then made its way toward the shore and flipped over the boat lift and dock. Luckily, no one was injured and no other properties in the area sustained damage. The incident was reported to the Northern Tornadoes Project, which says it plans to investigate the incident. Over 3,000 new Thunderhawks got a chance to learn more about their school today. Confederation College hosted its annual orientation, giving students the chance to meet their professors, navigate the building, and enjoy an on-campus barbecue. Jaden Billick was there.
Spirits are high amongst the new and returning students at the Confederation College campus, and many are eager to start their classes and work towards their degrees. Food, games, and prizes were all in the itinerary for the orientation day. It was the first for new President Michelle Salo, who says she's very happy that everyone enjoyed the event, and she couldn't be more thrilled for the semester to begin.
This is our general orientation for all of our new students, and returning students can come as well, but it's just a time for people to get to know each other, get to know the college, and have fun.
How's it feel to kind of sit back for the first day and go, yeah, I'm in this position now?
It's a bit surreal, but it's very exciting, especially with all this energy. It just kind of, it makes you enthusiastic for the job.
Many booths were set up outside of the campus's wellness center, showcasing the numerous clubs and extracurriculars which are available for the students throughout the school year. Additional games such as this one-on-one jousting ring and even karaoke were also happening in an attempt to ease the minds of these students entering their first semesters. Vice President Academic Aaron Skillen speaks more.
It's a really important day to just kick off their academic year on the right foot. General orientation and program-specific orientation, it's a really important part of them meeting their program coordinator, maybe some other faculty, certainly their classmates, finding out more details about their program and seeing some of those physical spaces that they're going to learn in this year.
Returning student of Business and Human Resources and Director of Wellness and Social Events, Adriana Baez shares some wise and important wisdom for the newcomers.
To learn how to share experience, how make important the opinions and everything that make us different. So for me, it's really important to make the difference with our difference.
Jaden Billick, TBT News.
Thunder Bay pop duo the Lockyer Boys continue to make their mark in the music industry. Will and Charlie Lockyer performed at the Live on the Waterfront Summer Send-Off last week, and they're celebrating the release of their latest single. Neb Van Pelt has more.
Once we realized we could sing together, you know, with harmonies and whatnot, that's when we started performing around town, and yeah, that's how the journey started.
Growing up in Thunder Bay, the Lockyer Boys had a love for music right from the start. Whether it was taking piano lessons, listening to their dad play guitar by the campfire, or singing lessons at Applause Productions, being on this journey together is something they've always been grateful for.
We're best friends, so it's always, you know, we joke around, we have fun, and I think I definitely notice it. It's nice to, you know, be with your brother when you're traveling.
We spend every day together, so we can read each other's minds. We can do all of those things. Like, it's crazy, but it's really nice.
The Lockyer Boys have written and recorded music in Vancouver and Los Angeles and spent their last year and a half with Grammy-winning producer and writer Michael Blue. Their newest single, Letting Go, was actually inspired by the chaos before heading to LA.
We wrote it just because we were stressing about not having demos to record in LA. And
it was kind of a last-minute songwrite. We were like, we just need songs. We're going into LA. Michael Blue is ready for us. He's excited. And we told him we have songs that are ready to record, but we didn't. So like 4 nights before, we recorded 4 different songs, and Letting Go was one of them.
Letting Go was released just over a month ago now. And the Lockyer Boys say people can expect more of the songs they've been working on to be released in the next little while. They've opened for many big names such as the Bare Naked Ladies, Loverboy, and Fifi Dobson. And coming up on October 5th, they're opening for Coney Hatch at the Community Auditorium. They say it's always special coming back to Thunder Bay and performing in front of a hometown crowd.
A lot of our highlights have come from shows we've done in Thunder Bay and shows we've done on this waterfront stage. And that's why we're so excited to do it every time, because it seems like it grows a little bit more every year that we do it. And yeah, I'm just really excited. I think there's been a lot of great moments where Thunder Bay has supported us, and that's why it feels so good to come back and play.
The Lockyer boys hope to continue playing for bigger and bigger crowds, with an end goal of performing in stadiums on a world tour. Nev Van Pelt, TBT News.
Well, it does seem like they have bigger and bigger things in store for their future. All right, well, Haley, the Labor Day long weekend is kind of known as the unofficial end of summer, but it is not an end to the summer-like temperatures.
That's right. Environment Canada says, summer isn't over yet. Especially in the region, we've seen beautiful temperatures here in Thunder Bay. We had a high of 24 today, feeling like 27, and that happened at 5 o'clock. So very recently, we're actually still sitting at that temperature at this hour as well. Our low was very early in the morning, 7 at 7 a.m. And so a brisk start to the morning, but that's when breezes were very light. Around noon, we had a little bit more cloud coverage than we did for most of the day, and that's when winds started to pick up from the south-southwest, and that's why we've been seeing gustiness, especially at this hour, all the way up to 45 kilometers an hour at times. But for the most part, it's been a mainly sunny day, and with temperatures like that, we can't really complain. Seasonally, we're only supposed to be at about a high of 20, so very nice. Red Lake in particular had a very similar day to us today. They're currently at 24, which is their high. Humidex making it feel like 28 and mainly sunny there. Kenora and Sioux Lookout both experienced more of a mix of sun and cloud today, but still very nice. 25 in Kenora, 23 in Sioux Lookout. Fort Frances, a very sunny day there. And Humidex affecting them as well. Although they're at 26 right now, the Humidex is making it feel like 31. So quite impressive, very sunny there. Similar sunniness in Dryden, 24 in Uppsala as well, but their Humidex is making it feel like 30 degrees. And so we have a very common trend today, mainly sunny for the most part and in the mid-20s for most areas. Some places that are a little cooler like Nipigon, they're at 20, but that's still very seasonal and nice. Marathon's at 19 now, but they did hit 20 earlier today. They're just cooling down slightly at this hour. Greenstone still nice and sunny in 22. Down in Wawa, they're 21, but their seasonal is around 18 degrees, so still very nice for them. And then Sault Ste. Marie is nice and sunny today as well. They're at 22. They actually increased their sunniness because they were cloudier in the morning, but luckily it has cleared up a little bit for them now. And for tonight, we're dropping down to 14. We've seen a few nights where it's been single digits, but we're double digits once again with a few clouds. Winds from the south still, but they will lighten as the night goes on. But don't worry, Ryan. If you're like me and when the turn of the season is starting to come and you've already bought your pumpkin pillow and you're like, when can I put this out? It feels too early now, but it may not be too early very soon.
You know me so well. We have pumpkin pillows all through my house.
I could tell. What can I say? Don't worry, hold your horses. It's coming.
Okay, thank you for that. Really puts my mind at ease. All right, well, let's turn our attention to national and international news really now. Canada recently announced that it's placing a 100% tariff on Chinese electric vehicles, and today China has responded by announcing it's launching an investigation into Canada's canola exports. We'll tell you what that means right after the break.
We're very confident that through our participation in an appropriate way, we will be able to demonstrate the fair access and competitiveness of Canadian canola.